Welcome to Lipetsk. What's up guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm in the city of Lipetsk, the capital of Lipetsk Oblast, here in the center of Russia. Lipetsk is the 36th biggest city in Russia and has just under 500,000 inhabitants. Founded in 1703, this became a city proper in 1779. However, unlike most cities of its age, Lipetsk doesn't really have the cultural and architectural history. That's because Lipetsk was never really a capital. It was never a major city until the Soviet Union came along, and in the 1950s, Lipetsk was made the capital of its own region, Lipetsk Oblast. And in fact, you can see behind me here, there's a celebration for 65 years of Lipetsk Oblast, giving you an idea of just how long Lipetsk has actually been a relatively powerful city. However, there are a few old churches and some nice monuments to look at, and I can't wait to have a look around. This city doesn't really get tourism. Most tourists who come here are here on business trips and maybe come to have a look around at the same time. So this doesn't really have the tourist infrastructure you might expect in lots of other big Russian cities. That means it's going to be a lot more interesting for me to look around somewhere a little bit more untouched and off the beaten path, and I can't wait to have a look around. So let's go. We begin today's video like we do in every single Russian city, next to the statue of Vladimir Lenin. This time Lenin is actually not in a Lenin Square. This is a cathedral square, and we'll have a look at the cathedral in a few minutes. However, like almost always, Lenin is outside the local government building, this the administration building for the Lipetsk Oblast government. And this is the area here where they have lots of celebrations on Victory Day and things like that. This Lenin statue is pretty standard, one hand holding a cap, the other hand in his pocket. And actually, a fun fact, this is actually the second Lenin statue to be built in this exact same spot. The first one was there in the 50s and it began to crumble in the early 80s. So in 83, they replaced it with this brand new one, which we see today. Cathedral Square gets its name from this church here, the Church of the Nativity. This church was built in 1803, and over time they kept adding bits to it, like this bell tower here and this dome over here, and it was finally completed in 1825. Previously, before this church was here, there was a wooden church in the 17th century which was burned down, and this is the replacement. It's pretty ironic that Vladimir Lenin, someone who hated religion so much, is in the middle of a cathedral square right next to this, a beautiful example of 19th century architecture. Here in Revolution Square in the center of Lipetsk is this statue here, a Grand Soviet statue from 1968. This statue is dedicated to the people from this city, the people from Lipetsk, who fought to gain Soviet power in the Great October Revolution. This statue here, as you can see, it's a man holding a banner, but it's known in this city as Muzhik, the man with a towel, because of this huge banner. Looks like he's holding a towel. here is St. Peter and St. Paul Church. Finished in only 2002, it's one of the newest landmarks here in this city and has already become a pretty well-known symbol of the city despite it being so new. In this spot in the 19th century, in 1872, they started construction of another church in this exact same location, also called St. Peter and St. Paul Church, in the memory of Peter the Great. It was finished in 1885, but in the 1930s, it was knocked down by the Soviet Union. Then, by the fall of the Soviet Union, they decided in the exact same spot to build a replacement church, and that's this, finished in 2002. This here is Peter the Great Square. Here you can see behind me a statue of Peter the Great on top of a platform. This square was renamed in 1996 from Karl Marx Square to Peter the Great Square on the 300th anniversary of the Russian Navy. Peter the Great founded this city along with many other cities in this region, and therefore he is a hero for the people of this city. And it's fitting that one of the main squares in the centre of the city be named after him, Peter the Great Square. I'm now in the lower park of Lipetsk. This place is known as Lower Park, even though the official name is Central Park, because it goes from the hill all the way down the lower part of the hill to the river and to the beach down there, and therefore this is known to the locals as Lower Park. This is a place where on most weekends during the spring and the summer there are festivities, concerts and other things like that. Today, as you can see, today is a Tuesday. There's nothing like that going on, but there are lots of people walking around, families with young children, enjoying a nice walk on a lovely autumn day. On the way up to Cathedral Square, on this, where there's pedestrian steps of what they call Peter's Slope, is this an obelisk. This obelisk is dedicated to Peter the Great, Tsar Peter the Great, and it was built in 1839 and funded by a local wealthy merchant. Before we saw the lower park, and of course that means logically there must be an upper park, and that's it here right behind me. It's just one long straight line going from the cathedral all the way down here. It's a footpath lined with trees all the way down. You can see it's pretty high up over the river. There's a great view over the valley. This is not only lined with trees, but it also has a few monuments, and one of them, the most famous one, is this one here, the monument to the first Soviet of the city of Lipetsk. It's actually a four-man band group. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and because of the fact it's a four-man band, this statue is known colloquially in this area as the Beatles. I'm now here in Heroes Square, Plusha Goroyev, which is in the center of the city and is a memorial to those who died fighting for the Soviet Union against Nazi Germany in the Second World War. The main part of this complex is the 19-meter obelisk you can see behind me, which has next to it a eternal flame guarded permanently by soldiers. As well as the obelisk, there are a list of names of people who died here fighting in the Second World War, but also some people are actually not only commemorated here but also buried here, and you can see those behind me here. There's 18 different mass graves for those who died in the hospitals of Lipetsk, which were full of people who were evacuated from the Western Front to be treated but ultimately died. behind the war memorial is this Saint Yevdokia's church. I believe I've got that name right. I've never heard that name before. This church is from the 19th century. You can see with its beautiful golden dome. It was closed in 1918 at the start of the Soviet Union and was not opened until the fall of the Soviet Union a long time later. Behind me here is Aviator Square. You can see dominated by this giant plane, this MiG-19. This square is dedicated to these two pilots here, two pilots from the airbase here in this city who were once flying over the city when their plane set on fire. And instead of ejecting themselves and saving their own lives, they turned the planes around, crashed it far away from the city, died themselves, but saved the lives of those living in the city. And because of that, they were considered heroes here, and they're memorialized forever here in the city of Lipetsk. You can see them right here. Guys, thanks so much for getting to the end of this video here in Lipetsk. If you like it, please press that like button and please subscribe if you want to see more videos from me traveling around Russia. And if you're from this city, if you're from Lipetsk or the surrounding area, give me a comment. How do you think I portrayed your city? Thank you and bye.